Right. Online. I'm just opening up my chats, making sure audible, visible. Right. Mm, All right. Welcome to Unlocking Emotional Intelligence series using brain skills. We are officially on 70th episode. Okay. And we're seeing good amount of skill set for emotional intelligence. If you haven't still subscribe to my YouTube channel, please do so that you will get notified whenever I come online live or through videos. And I also do the podcast based on the same episodes in a different shorter version on the fly, on the go. You can, listen to that. But essentially, when you have listened to this 100 episodes, um, you are having a right kind of insight because information is overload nowadays because of digital media explosion. It's invading everybody's space and time now, and people are getting overwhelmed with the information getting into our heads. But it is essential to make sure that whatever information we are taking in, we are feeding our brains. It is right kind of it gives the right kind of insight which is needed for us to take the right kind of decision at the right time. So that comes from the awareness that you are gaining in, and emotional intelligence is a first step building towards your self awareness, and it builds the self management in you where you can regulate it and then be able to channelize it. So it all begins with the awareness that you're building, and this entire series can be taken as an awareness step. And once you get the right kind of information, you will be able to apply it on your life. So today, what we are seeing is yesterday we started off the series for understanding risk taking as a superpower skill. When you have a risk tolerance, especially an entrepreneur, by nature they should be tolerant towards taking risk. Okay, they cannot be averse. If they are against or if they resist taking risk, then there is no point of undergoing business. Same with career people. And when I started the series, I dedicated this entire series to career moms, the busy moms who are juggling multiple roles. But then I realized emotional intelligence is needed for everybody, especially when it is open out there in open media platforms like this. I think emotional intelligence can be made reached and available to any set of people who are watching this. I also get messages from a student, a professional who is watching and trying to understand where they can equip themselves in the emotional intelligence toolkit. So I thought I'll leave this social media platform free resources be available to everybody. In essence, I will be able to cater the needs of a student, a professional, a career, progression person, or a career break woman who is right now maybe in full-time motherhood, but eventually they would want to come back to their career, and somebody who's already in a leadership role, a community high-stake role, or a professional with a high-stake employment, or a business entrepreneur. Anybody who's watching this, irrespective of any age, any gender, any culture background, everybody needs to be equipped with emotional intelligence. You as a person, if you're a parent, you hold even more responsibility that you need to be able to learn it and then be able to teach to your children also, because emotional literacy is the need of the hour. It's gone are those days where we felt no, emotion is something that we can always take a step back and later on we can decide. We might want to concentrate only on the surface. The logical data was more important, right? Because that's how our education system was driven. We deal with more of numbers, facts, figures, history, data, and all that. But we hardly take a note of the emotional data happening within us. So, in terms of understanding the human psychology, the human behavior mechanism, or what is the brain functionality, how is the brain skills enabling us to get the necessary success in life and work, those are something that we have not dealt with. And in fact, talking about emotions itself is a taboo. And we as a woman, we were always asked to leave the emotions in the door step and then enter a family. When we get married, it is important to put the family, first. That's all we, that's how our entire life is tuned to. But this generation, Gen Z, is different. They take care of themselves really well. They give some priority towards their needs, wants, likes, dislikes, and all that, but making sure that it is in balance. Because emotional intelligence is not always about others. And again, it is not always about us. It is that balance, that harmony that we are able to strike is the beauty of you being emotional intelligence. And when I'm talking about brain skills, the reason why I picked up the brain skills is because it is even more tangible and evident for us to understand the brain is existing in all of us. We cannot deny that. So the moment we are born, the brain functionality starts, right? Even when the child is in the womb, the brain functions really well. The two sides of the brain is something that we are not aware of it, but then it is important to be able to know how to tap into those abilities as well. You may be a logically driven person, so who already have a strength in those logical components. You might as well want to leverage those in order to develop the other side of your brain, which is your creative brain. For somebody who's watching this, who's listening to this, could be really good with their creative brain, the emotional brain. So they might want to use their tap into their source of strength to be able to improve their logical brain. Okay. So in order to blend both data, so it is important to take the logical data as well as the emotional data in any given point of time. Sometimes you have to cater to more towards the data of numbers, facts. Sometimes you have to cater towards the people's emotional likes, dislikes, and all that. But how are we blending is what is going to, make us a wise decision maker. And that is essentially where you're going to be operating out of emotional intelligence. Now, this is a different approach. When we talk about emotional intelligence, so far we've only heard about social skills, social awareness, emotional skills, emotional awareness, and all that. But there is more towards it. And the reason why we are picking up on brain skills is because we are backed up with science and data. You cannot deny it, right? Whenever I'm going to be talking about brain skills, it is always backed up with the research. In fact, there is a tool that I can tell you where you can derive your own, you can identify your own brain styles. AI driven psychometric tools are available for you to understand how your brain styles work. Whatever I'm going to be talking in these episodes, you can actually see that as a report. So there is a workshop also for women that I'm conducting where we're not going to be talking anything fluffy. Okay. Emotional intelligence is not always fluffy about emotions, sad emotions, anger emotions, and all that. We will be talking with the data point. It is from you, given by you, and to you from you. So it is not something that I'm thrusting on you or somebody else is thrusting on you. Your own brain styles, the way you answer questions, the AI can pick up your brain styles and give it to you. The moment you know your brain style, you'll be able to read the same in others. Now, that's where you're going to have a higher power of negotiation and communication edge over others, right? That's the only differentiator factor, because the moment you know your brain styles, you can read the same in others. You don't have to necessarily, pull up their brain style report. You can read them. So that is the beauty of emotional intelligence. The moment you are aware of your emotions, the same emotions everybody is going to carry. It's just that they're going to tweak their, emotions based on their own patterns and behaviors. But either ways, if you're literate enough about emotions, you can catch those cues. You can catch those, body language, which can tell you how to approach them. You can accordingly change your communication, or any results can be driven based on, you can change your approach to attain that desired outcome with them. This is needed for who? Basically, who needs this? Whoever is dealing with human beings around them. You may ask, okay, I'm an AI person, I'm a coding person, hardcore coding person, I don't have to deal with human beings. It's okay. I totally understand. But what about you? About your own emotions? You definitely emote, right? Whether you realize it or not, whether you like it or not, emotions are there in every human being on this planet. So you need to be able to understand your own emotions, your own body, your own energy. What does it tell you? How does it make you feel? And what are your outcomes? What are your patterns? Are you, aware of your own trigger points? So how does it come as a display? Are you okay with that display? Does it help you in your goals? So these awareness have to be brought in, and then accordingly you decide, tweak. When it's needed to be tweaked, you need to do that course correction, and then you have to review whether it's working for you or not. So this is a simple thing that we all do, and emotional intelligence is existing in all our families. It's not an outside study. Okay, I'm repeating the same context for all these 100 days. The same thing will be repeated. Principally, it's going to be the same. It's not that every episode I'm going to bring different principles. It's all the same. The more I grind it, the more it is going to get instilled. And I'm also learning in this process. The process that I'm doing, I'm simply learning about everything that I'm talking about. It actually deepens my knowledge as well. So let's see what is risk tolerance is going to give it to you in order to take that bold steps towards undertaking the risk in your life and work, and what kind of success factors it is going to give it to you, and what skills and strategies that you need to use with your existing capabilities. You don't have to resist with something, or you don't have to bring some rocket science to do about it. You can actually leverage your own existing strength to be able to improve the area of improvements. But you need to identify what are your strengths. You need to identify what is the changes that, meaning, where do you want to go. If you identify there is a gap, then it is a good thing to course correct on it. Suppose there is no gap, then it is again an assessment that you're doing, saying that, okay, I'm good at it, it is functional. So you need to be able to going through that awareness journey as well. So today we will see what risk taking can, the power of risk taking as a brain skills. It's going to help you balance your life and work by using your data analysis power, that is your logical power, and some of your intuition power to be able to take that smart decision making. So we are talking about, imagine the left side. This is my left side. So there's a bubble and there's a right side bubble. Making sure you don't go extreme of either of the side. Otherwise, it's too hard for you to rewire and come to the midbrain. The reason why you have to be in the midbrain is when you can take the blend of both the sides. You can you can flip the switch easily when you are in the midbrain. But if you're going too extreme, you're going to ignore this part, and then takes time for you to rewire and come. And only in the midbrain, the smart decision making is happening. Then we'll also see some proven strategies for weighing that risk and rewards. In your mind, in my community, when it comes to decision making, it's a competency by itself. So we give a particular formula, we give them a particular practice and a tool. They just have to apply. When they apply in their life, every decisions can be a smart decision. Okay, I'm going to give you some tips and strategies based on that. And also some insights from case studies, meaning a famous personality who have walked through this path and who's been successful using these skill set. We're going to learn from them and see where we can adapt those things. Now, when we talk about any skill set, we undergo a definition, okay, using the left brain and right brain. General definition is one thing, but how is your brain approaching is what is important in this series. So what we're going to see is, how does your logical brain approach? When you want to take a risk, okay, you're going to use your data and logic to weigh the pros and cons, ensuring risks are manageable and rewards which can justify your effort. The reason why you need to take the calculated risk to achieve that bold success in life and work is because you just cannot stay in one place and be comfortable. It only leads you to stagnation. Now, this is a classic power skill needed for an entrepreneur because they are into endless changes and adversities. They are constantly on the hustle, right? So they need to be able to build that courage to take that bold steps. But for people who are in the normal life, you may ask that I'm just a full-time mom. I don't have to take risk. No, even in daily life, your brain is actually, you may not see that as a threat, but for your brain, any small changes is actually a threat. We resist, right? You can see that you don't like change. Nobody likes change, right? Unless and until we value that, or somebody has a spirit that they need that thrill of adventure, of, keep facing the changes, right? Those are very few people, and they just cannot live in the society because they will be all the time in travel, because that's how their brain needs it. If you not, then if you are at work and life, then your brain may still be expecting that thrill and excitement, but in a very restricted format. So for those people, it is easier for them to change. But when they deal with others, their brain style is not going to be the same with them. They're going to have a clash because human generally they resist any kind of change. As a full-time mom, also imagine you plan for something, to pick up a grocery or something. Your tire goes flat, right? So that's a change that creates an anxiety because you're not going as per your plans. So what do you have to do? You have to create a backup plan, and or if you don't have a backup plan, then you have to face it. You have to make sure that it is fixed. You have to undergo some compromise on it. Similarly, if you have a toddler, you know how life gives you a different, exposure every day. Life could be daily adventure. You should definitely have options, backup plan, making sure that things are working. Because a lot of people, we take a lot, in Western countries is full of appointments, so we can't risk to miss any appointment. So even if it is so, then we have to reschedule. A lot of changes happens in a very small scale as well. So how are we approaching those things? So one is small risk, another one is bigger risk in terms of your profile. You may be at career, you may be at business, you may be at an important leadership role. Your risk could be at a grandiose scale. But essentially your brain is approaching in a similar way, right? Apart from the severity of the situation, the approach of your brain is all the most same. The formula is all the most same. So we're going to read all that, okay? Now for your right brain approach, which is your emotional and creative brain, it is allowing you to rely on your intuition to seize that overlooked opportunities. You're going to take that bold steps towards growth despite any uncertainties. I wanted to note the key words here. Your right brain says relying on intuition to seize that overlooked opportunities and take that bold steps. Okay? Now your logical brain says use data, logic, weigh pros and cons. That's how logical data works. By now you will know what kind of brain styles you have, but then I'll tell you exactly how to identify your brain styles as well. This may not be accurate, but you can still know your strength. Now, the benefits of you taking calculated risk is because, first of all, risk taking is one skill, but you cannot go overdo on it. You need to be able to calculatively take that risk in order to, because we cannot afford to lose our resources or time and effort or money, people sometimes, not always, right? Once in a while it is okay, but as a human being, we don't want to keep on taking risk. We don't like to take risk. In that case, you will need to be able to take calculated risk, and the benefit of which can give you some higher rewards. Seizing opportunities, for example, which are unknown, it might have some risk, but if you don't use that opportunity, maybe you have the strength within you to navigate it. As a mother, we are naturally, the moment you get into the motherhood, we don't find anything, you know, easily, right? We don't find anything easy for that matter. Everything is having some amount of risk or some amount of adventure in it. Because handling a kid, bearing a kid, and then, growing up with them, from making them grow, seeing them grow from toddler to elementary or mid school, and it's a roller coaster by itself. The entire parenting itself is full of risk only. We don't know what can happen. Sometimes situations could be seemingly very clear, but then the next moment it could all become messy. Again, the severity could be different. Full-time mom handling one room messy is okay, but if they are at work, making it messy will definitely cost them something. But again, the impact that has been happening from the messy area, if they are not able to can handle it, the impact is going to be the same whether they are at work or here. It will eventually show up. So you missing that opportunity could cost you something, but you taking that calculated risk can give you that reward. You can seize that opportunity. Okay. And it is also going to give you that confidence. Suppose by seizing that unknown opportunity, meaning unknown situations, but you are still willing to take that risk and you're seizing that opportunity, might have given you some good outcomes. So that will definitely increase your self-confidence for you to step up for the future situations. Okay. That's how you personally grow. So that's how you expand beyond your comfort zone, developing the new skills and perspectives. Then, when it comes to potential drawbacks, so these could be one side of it. The other side of it is something that you need to understand. You cannot overdo on any particular strength. Even though as a mother, as a parent, we are used to take that risk, okay, on a very less gravity situations, but then we are applying it, okay? But are we overdoing on it is something that you need to be checking. Suppose you are not, then that also you need to be checking what could be the setbacks of it, what could be the loss of it. Now, somebody who doesn't have this ability, they are going to have a possibility of failure. And somebody who could have overdoing on this particular skill, that is also possible that they will have the possibility of failure. Even calculated risk can lead to setbacks and emotional strain. On that note, what would you do? You just have to let it happen. And we will see in the strategies in this episode, we'll see hacks, how you can navigate through those impact and, strains. So we'll see all that, but you need to be aware that it could happen. Either ways it can happen, but how much are we able to develop that skill to be able to navigate? Because not always everything will be failure, and not always everything can be successful as well. Then, if you have this kind of a failure, it will also have its emotional pressure. High stakes decisions may create some stress and anxiety also. Suppose a person at home may not have that gravity, but if they are at high stake professionalism, then that pressure could be emotionally bothering them as well. And then there could be a financial loss. Some risk may result in financial setbacks, especially in business. Okay. Setbacks in business is a quite common thing, but we need to understand calculated risk cannot be only solution. We need to be able to understand where to stop, when to stop. Importance of calculated risk taking. Suppose you don't have it. It is natural that stagnation can take place in your career or in your growth. You will tend to miss opportunities for success. Then with risk taking, growth can happen, innovation can happen. You will allow some, something to change. That's how you will allow the innovation. It could be an innovation in technology or process or business or in your relationship. You will find something new, strategies to develop that relationship, make some peace at home, right? Fine tune some process that you already seem to be having some problem in it. You're going to improvise on it. So all those innovation can happen if only you allow to take that risk. And then statistically also 72% of successful entrepreneurs attribute their success to calculated risk. So who needs this? Entrepreneurs obviously launching new ventures or products that can be the simplest way of taking risk. But there are a lot of other areas where constantly they'll have to keep taking that risk. Okay. We'll see what are all those. And when it comes to professionals seeking promotions or career changes, during that time, they have to take the calculated risk. Then investors evaluating higher risk, high reward opportunities, or leaders guiding teams through innovative strategies. Typically, everybody needs, even a student needs, okay? Because they might have to take some courageous steps when they have to transition from one major to another, or even choosing their career path. That is also a calculated risk, right? Who knows what will happen to them when they are supposed to be in a high school choosing a particular streamline? World can change. So that itself is a risk, right? We studying a career path, we pursuing a career path. It's a sheer shot calculated risk. We don't know where, we will end up in. We will keep taking the best shot, giving the best focus and efforts. But at the end of the day, we don't know where it will take us. Many of us are classical example. We studied something and we are doing something else. So we have already taken that risk. Okay. Calculated risk in business ventures. So we'll see where are the applicabilities. So when it comes to business ventures, classical example is when they are approaching a new product launch. So entrepreneurs take risk when introducing innovative products in the markets. For example, I would like to quote Tesla. Tesla, when they launched the electrical cars, right? They really challenged the standards of industry. They really challenged, and for that, they also had their own barriers, roadblocks. They had to deal with it, okay? Because it's a traditional, so far it was a traditional automotive industry. And when they challenged them, bringing in some energy-based, battery-based, automated-based, it definitely revolutionized the industries. So it does challenge the existing situations. So thereby they took a huge amount of risk. They did not get profitable immediately as and when they launched it. They had to wait. Of course, they forecasted the future trends. Okay, they did all that and then only they're launching, right? Because that's a calculated risk. Before taking that action, they must have done their work. So what are all those works? It all boils down to strategies that we have been discussing in the previous episodes also. Today also we'll see what could work for you to take that calculated risk before and after that. And it also needed a significant investment with uncertain market option. At that point of time, somebody has to be bold enough to invest on that person because they've not seen that they're operating on that unknown zone. Imagine what amount of risk would be the investors be taking it. All these stakeholders, even the people who are working, imagine the workforce. Do they even know whether this company is going to be successful or not? So everybody is taking risk. And then when it comes to market expansion, entering the new markets requires careful assessment. So that could be the change in a business line. So considering, for example, China, getting into China market is very, very tough. They are very closed economy, intact. No cross boundaries can happen. But US famous Starbucks pierced into the market by how they were ready to offer to tweak their models based on the local preference of the audience while maintaining their core brand identity. They have to take that risk in order to pierce through that huge market. So that's how they are expanded. And then when it comes to pivoting strategy, right, sometimes classic example is pandemic. When the entire planet was hit, different industries went through different losses, and they changed their strategies, they modeled their approach. During that time, anybody pivoted using their online digital presence also flourished. And people who innovated new ideas based on that situation in terms of giving them a fast delivery or home delivery, bringing access to all kind of products and services to their home, or working from home, the remote based work or even education happened on online. So everybody who pivoted or would adapted flourished. So changing company focus based on market demand is a calculated risk by itself. Okay. Another business model which pivoted and which is a famous case study is about Netflix, who were earlier into DVD based businesses. You remember the DVD player that we all used to have, right? It's all gone now. And imagine this company pivoted to online subscription, the OTT platform, the online streaming. So at that point of time, people thought, who will even buy that kind of a TV? And it's all way beyond our expectation and all that. But then little did they know, I mean, they had to wait. So they were not profitable for a long time. They had to really wait. And the investors also had to take that plunge. But now their stock shares are leading, right? So anybody and everybody, they're watching movies online from home, right? It's become a pivot, a strategic, right kind of pivot that transformed the entire business model for them. Similarly, career transitions. What kind of calculated risk can you take? First is to assess the current position. I always suggest that you need to properly assess 360-degree angle to identify whether there is a need for change at all or not. If you don't find the need, you don't have to change. But that logical assessment has to be applied. So you need to take inventory of your transferable skills, industry knowledge, and achievement metrics. Okay. You need to identify where you want to go and where are you right now. Taking a SWOT analysis definitely help. And that's why taking this brain styles and brain talents, whatever we have been discussing, it's all going to come to you in a one page of format. So understanding 18 key different brain skills and talents needed for this 21st century is all given in one sheet. You can identify your top 6 talents and the areas of improvement. That's going to be your strength and weakness. You're going to work on it, work on your strength to change that challenges into opportunities. Okay. So these tools can be used to identify where you are having a gap. And then you're going to do a research opportunities. Okay. Then you're going to identify those industries and roles where your skills might be a fit. And it can be a valuable source for both of you, both the employer and you. And for example, a teacher transitioning from to a corporate training, because they're anyway teachers are always good trainers. They just have to learn those training modalities, and as long as they have a passion, they can always tweak their strategies. So a modern and a classic and a very profitable strategy for a teachers to become a trainer, especially corporate training or online training, coaching. That can also be a one pivot of finding out that kind of a profitable business model. So that could be one way to have a transition. So that's a calculated risk again. And then weighing the pros and cons is very, very important. Now that you know where you want to go and you know what are your limitations and your strength, you need to also identify the profits, the pros and cons to it. So what are the benefits and what could be the pitfalls? If you don't have that kind of a calculation, then you are just going on to take that risk blindly. Okay. All right, general factors could be for career trend changes. It could be salary potential or the location. Because when you are a family, then changing relocation could be having a lot of implications on your family members in terms of school, neighborhood, and accessibility and all that. And of course, for your growth opportunities, you need to be able to identify what is the market trend right now. If you need to upskill, um, then you need to be able to do that to be able to sell yourself better. All right, then take the leap. Now, after you do certain preparations like this, then it is giving you natural confidence, right? You don't have to wait for somebody to tell you what to do. You will naturally take that leap. And sometimes, even after doing all this, people still sit on the fence evaluating. The reason is they don't want to take action. They cannot take that leap of faith. That can happen only using your emotional brain. All these while it's only left brain acting on it. Can you see it? Assessing, research, weighing, everything is logical component. Now, what will happen for you to take that action? Problem solving can happen only in the right brain. That will come when it comes to faith, persistence, all that intangible ones that you cannot see through, all emotional brain. You see how it is needed to have both these brains working together. Then calculated risk in financial investment. We always know that when it comes to finance, there's always a risk. So we're going to see three options, three areas where exactly you will see the calculated risk can be applied. One is market analysis, studying the market trends, company financial reports, and industry performance metrics to be able to take that informed investment decisions. This is for people who are in entrepreneurship or who are, taking that financial goals, investment for their family or for business expansion, or for high stake professionals who wants to expand their investments options. So it could be many things. For example, analyzing a tech company's revenue growth, market share, and competitive positions even before investing in their stock, or even as an employee. If you want to choose that kind of a company, you might as well want to check their investment financial status. Okay, and then do a calculation based on that. Then risk assessment. If you are interested in financial investment options, you also have to understand your risk that you're taking for every instrument that you're looking for, right? It could be stock, it could be bonds, it could be land, real estate, or it could be anything. As long as you have a evaluation, carefully evaluated the potential returns against any possible investments, losses, then it is a wise decision. So you're going to consider the high yield corporate bonds, which has so many, so and so returns, versus the default risk, which is given in the government based bonds. This is a classic thing. The dynamic ones are the private ones, and the traditional static ones are the government ones. But the government ones, the traditional ones, the conventional ones may not have that kind of a risk. But you need to be able to choose based on your needs. Okay. So that is switching from the conventional instruments to the modern, the dynamic, and volatile ones is very, very subjective. But again, you need to be able to take that risk. Diversification is also important. When you want to, and it is ideal for, when you are a normal individual or you're a business person, you need to be able to diversify your money. Otherwise, putting in one bucket is not a conducive decision for even a normal individual salary based employee. It is important to put that money, that savings, into different buckets. Okay. In my community, that's the first thing that we will be talking about when it comes to money management. Right after they learn how to generate money, they also have to know how to manage money and then be able to multiply money. So diversification is not only needed for the business entrepreneurs, it's also for an individual. You're going to balance that portfolio by mixing the high risk investment with that of the safer options to be able to protect that market volatility. Sometimes you're stuck, based on the stock going up and down. And that time your not so risk, or the static ones can help you liquefy it. But sometimes the liquefied things cannot be satisfying your goals. So you might have to take that risk with those balanced portfolio. Then comes calculated risk in leadership. Okay, innovative strategies. So implementing new approaches first, that which can challenge that industrial norms. For example, adopting a 4-day work week to boost productivity and employee satisfaction. Now, this is a controversy that certain countries are churning towards 90 work hours, 90 hours of work per week. But there are certain countries which is very static with their own policy of 48 hours as an average per week. Okay, either ways, based on the market trend and based on the models, the business models that you are working in, you should be able to innovate strategies within that framework. Okay, then comes to technology adoption. So that is again a risk. So in pandemic, this was a risk for everybody. Critical business decisions happened on Zoom. It is a risk. Education happened on Zoom. It is a big time risk because we are exposing our kids to gadgets. It had its own impact. Now everybody is glued with mobile, with the gadgets. So it is a risk that we have taken. And what is going to be the impact, we'll have to wait and watch. Right? Then team improvement. Empowerment can happen when you can delegate the important task to develop the team member skills and confidence. For example, allowing the junior managers to lead that major client presentations while providing backup support is a classic example of, creating that successors. Okay, thereby you're also empowering the team individual. That is a calculated risk because you know very well that you're at the back end to provide that support. As a leader, it is very important to make the team members do, you not leading. It's not always you leading. You are letting the other person lead and you are standing, taking a step back to see and support whenever they fall off. So that is called leadership, and that's a pure risk there. Calculated risk in personal growth. You pivoting or you having a passive income streams for which you can, develop new skills, or for example, uh, taking care of your existing flow of income. That could be your main salary based jobs. Thereby you're also ending up doing the weekend hustle for which you are learning skills. You're going to spend some time and money and resources to be able to develop that. So you are taking that calculated risk on a daily basis for the future opportunities. Similarly, public speaking. So one of the highest fear, top fear is to overcome the fear of stage. So if you can take that risk, it's a calculated risk because it's, you know very well it's going to be a trusted environment. You're not out there talking about a political agenda, so not that kind of a stage, but you're going to practice that using clubs and associations with the like-minded people. And then you'll have to do that self-reflection to understand, introspection to identify the area of personal improvement. You might ask, where is that risk? Of course, it is a risk. Taking a feedback from you to you, honest feedback. You are looking at the risk that you have to take. That is not coming from others, but it is coming from within you. So that can be a calculated risk. But if you have to wait for the mistakes to happen and then you're going to learn it, then it will be a proper risk you have taken and that will be a failure risk. But instead, before it could happen, you're reflecting on it. It is a calculated risk. Now, let's talk about brain hacks directly. So what kind of hacks can you use, the shortcuts to activate your left brain, right brain, and midbrains so that you can apply this calculated risk anytime freely? So we'll see what are those. First thing is to activate your left brain, where you're going to gather information first of all. For you to even take that risk, you need to be able to gather, assess information properly. In what ways? Research. You're going to collect relevant data and information about that potential risk and analyze that. Even before you research, you must have identified. Okay, there is one more step. In fact, that is the first step. Identify the gap. by taking all the feedback 360-degree angle. And then you're going to, research. And then analyze, examine the data to identify patterns and potential outcomes, right? And consult. Seek advice from experts and mentors in that relevant field, because your own brain style could be limited to see only that kind of data. You could be your leader by yourself, but you should be able to take use of those team synergy, team brain style as well. So it is easy for you to pick up multiple data point, right? Thereby, if you don't have that kind of team, or if you're a full-time mom, you're an individual person, you can hire a consultant or an expert in that field, or a coach. So that will be the best way, because when they are giving you their services, expert services, and that cannot go wrong, right? As long as you're able to find that right kind of person. And evaluate, assess the potential information, what you have gathered, to be able to make that informed decision. You just cannot, just because somebody is told, you cannot run through it unless and until you have validated it. So now this is called right kind of gathering right kind of information. With this confidence, you can take a risk. Then comes sometimes right side brain. Now you may have, your brain style is so that it's still not validated. Somewhere you feel the gap, right? And you're pressed with time. There is a need for you to take action, but you're still waiting for that necessary data, which is not coming. You're not gaining that valid. A lot of times in our life, it would have happened. You're waiting for that right kind of moment, right kind of data forever. But sometimes you need to plunge in with action. What is stopping you is maybe because you're not able to trust your own instinct. So for that, you need to have that emotional intelligence, that develop that emotional awareness within you of your own emotions and intuition telling you. So you need to know what energizes you and what drains you off. And with that, you should be able to take that forward. And also have a pattern recognition done. Learn to identify that subtle patterns in you that can inform about your instincts. So that's a second step in emotional intelligence. One is to become aware of your emotions patterns, and then identify that patterns. That's the second step. So in my community, we have 8 steps towards emotional intelligence. We are talking about 8 competencies. It is like teaching you fishing. I don't have to be there next time. When the moment you learn the skill, you can do it by yourself as many as times that you want. So that is the power of skill. It gives you that automation power. But if you don't have the skill, if you only rely on information, you might be needing me all the time, for example. So similarly, we teach you what are the skill set needed for you to build that muscle in emotional intelligence needed. But what we are discussing here is all those brain talents. Okay. Then you're also going to do the mindfulness, because that's what is going to give you that awareness of your energy, your own self, that gives you that enough space and peace and time for you to be with you. So that is also important, because that's what as right brain get energized. And the next one is both the brains. You're going to wave it, okay? Wave meaning both the hands comes, right? It's always both the sides. So you're going to have a potential benefits, as well as you're going to identify the potential downsides of it. You should have a neutral view. You just cannot take a bias of, just because you are driven by emotions, whether it is yours, you are very spirited or adventurous, so you're taking that action, or you are driven by other people's bias, so you want to take that action. No, you have to weigh with the logical approach also. So emotions and logic both. And then the financial gains and financial losses. What could be the potential losses? Is there an advancement, or is there a setback? Is there a growth or a stress? Is there an opportunity or a stability? So which one you want at what point? Sometimes you might want the stability only. It's totally okay based on your situations, wants, and goals. But sometimes you need to seize that opportunity. But for which you need to know what is the metrics that you need to weigh. The next one is left brain. Okay. You're going to start small to build that confidence. You see, step by step. Okay. I love this infographic, because the person is marching towards their goal, but one step at a time. That's how your brain also needs you to do it, right? You're going to identify that small risk. You're going to choose low stake opportunities to practice risk taking, and then take that action, implement your decision, and observe that outcomes. Reflect and learn, analyze that results, adjust your approach for future risk, and gradually increase. Okay. Progressively take on that larger risk to grow your confidence. Then left brain again, we are all good about it. See, when you're a mom, we always have a contingency plan. Similarly, when you're a business person, you do have a contingency plan. And a corporate itself, for its business continuity, definitely needs a contingency plan. So similarly, you need to understand all these are left brain components. You're going to identify the potential setbacks, anticipate possible changes or failures that could occur in your goals. Then develop the backup strategies, create the alternative plans to address the potential setbacks, and allocate resources, set aside time, money, other resources for contingency, regularly review them. Okay. If you do this, then your left brain, right brain, both the brains are activated. Now it's a case study time where we're going to be discussing about a personality who has walked through this path displaying this skill set effectively. We're going to be talking about Indra Nooyi. We all know about her. We have been discussing about her in various other episodes, angling towards it could be definitely needed to know a woman brain styles, especially a successful woman leader who has used these skill set. Because if I look at them, who has walked through the path, then there could be a tangible evidence for my inspiration. But if I do not know about or they have not, done what is needed, then I might, again, my brain style would keep seeking that validation. So because of which, I thought even if it's going to be the repeated, I told you, right? See, talking about few personalities, I can relate almost all the skill set in this 100 episodes to that personality alone. For example, Steve Jobs or Jeff Bezos, or Indra Nooyi as a woman, okay? There could be Ratan Tata, and there could be many, Americans as well as Indian across the planet, okay? It's just that we are not aware of them because they may be not on internet. Otherwise, we don't have an access to them. But I must tell you, emotional intelligence or these skill set anywhere, any skill set that we are going to be talking, it is all displayed among the people we live. So emotional intelligence is not always only on available on internet or on others. The people who are at close proximity always display a lot of skill set, if you have noticed. But in the interest of, we being politically correct and making sure that there are data points for you, so that on that note, case studies on different successful industry personalities is something that we can always relate to. So talking about her, Indra Nooyi's leadership at PepsiCo shows that how calculated risk can lead to transformative success because she prioritized, uh, she being a mom and as well as a family person who loves family, culture, and leading such a largest food and beverages company, especially during critical times where she has to prove the company's, worth and her leadership is at stake. So she was able to prioritize the healthier product lines and sustainability more than the popularity or more than anything that the product demands. She was able to align that with the company's evolving consumer demands, right? That is what has intrigued me. And we need to also identify what amount of skill set that she could have undergone using these power skills, right? Uh, During she was able to align that with the company's evolving consumer. One second, just gonna, yeah. All right. So on that note, I'm going to be talking about her brain skills, where strategic risk taking, that is her logical component. So she must have used that to shift the PepsiCo focus to healthier products based on consumer trends, right? By only with the right kind of strategies, which will have not only the hindsight of what is happening in the current scenario and also the foresight of what is going to be happening in the future. So that combination is what is creating the right kind of strategies. And that's how she must have taken that risk. And her visionary leadership, it's a purely right brain component. Without a vision, the leader cannot walk through the path and they cannot articulate the vision to the employees to be able to also embrace them in the journey. So her intuition, which is a right brain component about global market and positioning PepsiCo as a forward thinking brand, is a classic example of her right brain styles working. And then the innovation resilience. Apart from this, there are other talents, right, which is more important, which made her, get into this bold moves to be able to lead that product diversification and long-term growth despite of initial blocks. Okay, that happens only with that kind of resilience to be able to bounce back, to be able to embrace failures, to exactly know, despite of failures, they can navigate through the challenges through innovation. So they're not navigating using their own traditional static approach, because it's anyway getting them, not that amount of results. So they are ready to plunge in to see what is the future is expecting, what is their consumer demands going to be in down the lane, and where can they change. So they are ready to take that risk, for which these skill set will definitely help them move forward. Okay. So you can also use these inspiration in your skills, but you should also identify the factors. What was stopping you to take these risks? So we started off with an exclusive episode to see how to overcome the fear of failure. Okay, just recently we have completed that episode. If you have not watched it, do watch it. It can give you a lot of strategies. So what we, this one slide is a snapshot of what we discussed in the whole episode. We wanted you to reframe our failures, viewing failures as long learning opportunities rather than the personal shortcomings. Don't take it personally. That should not affect the ego or blocks you. So it should be reframed as a learning opportunities. Thereby, you're okay to plunge in. You're building the natural resilience in you. Then you're going to set realistic expectations, because you cannot beat around yourself for the things but which are not in your control. So you're going to understand that not all risk also will succeed, and that's okay about it. You're going to celebrate that small wins, even if it's going to be a small win. You're going to recognize that and celebrate, because the brain needs gratification. So we are all human being, and we have that organ in us, right? The brain itself is an organ. So it is physically present. So you're going to treat that the way it is needed. So you're going to give that gratification, even though you're working, straining the brain, because you're very resilient. You want the brain to work on unknown zone. You're making that brain go through the change, but you need to also give that reward to it. Only then it'll help you grow, and then learn from setbacks. Analyze failures to improve your approach to future risk. You can also develop a growth mindset, which is very, very critical for you to adaptable, become flexible, or to even take that step for calculated risk. For everything, that growth mindset is important. If you're a fixed mindset person, talking about this is of no use. Anyway, you will do what you want, because you are most concerned about your comfort zone. You don't want to take that risk. You don't want to change. So it's not going to happen. But for a person who wants to grow, who is ready to take that plunge, you need to be able to embrace challenges. See that difficult situation as opportunity for growth and learning. Persist through obstacles. View that setbacks as temporary and maintain that effort despite difficulties. And learn from criticism. You're going to use feedback constructively to improve your skills and growth. And find that inspiration in others' success. Be motivated by others' achievement rather than being threatened. Okay, that is another input that we'll definitely have to highlight, because it is important not to curse anybody, not to have burn the bridges, not to have that vices in us while we want to grow. It is important to celebrate other people's success as ours. Only then, as a leader, you radiate. Okay, you will be able to attract more success. It's counterintuitive. As an individual, also, when we have people inside our family as well, so we just cannot have that jealous going on, right? We should be able to teach our children also, between siblings. You should be able to openly celebrate, openly appreciate, and receive compliments. Many of us shy away. We deny the compliment even if it is given to us bluntly, because we don't know how to receive it. As much as we know, we should know how to give it, we should also know how to receive it. Both giving compliments and appreciation, or taking it, is also important. So be generous. Okay, find that inspiration in others' success. Balancing that emotional and logic is very, very important. So build that awareness so that you can identify emotional response to that potential risk, because if what is going on in you should also become awareness in you. Okay, you're not just logically taking steps, but are you willing? Are you aligning? Because at the end of the day, if you're not aligned, you're not going to sustain. You cannot walk through that unknown zone. So alignment has to happen. There could be some motivation which can kick in, but you need to be able to identify that. Then you should also be analytically approaching, like logically approaching, using your data and rational thinking to evaluate the situation objectively. So as much, you need to understand Emotions do drive performance. Definitely, they only drive. Because take an example of any goals in your life or any success or even any failure. Underneath, there's always a emotion behind it. And only for that emotions, we're all driving our life. But behind that emotion, there has to be a strong logic for you to take that call. Otherwise, it will get one-sided. And you need to take that integrated decision making by combining that logic and emotion. Okay, only then it becomes balanced choice. And then seek mentorship and advice. Find a mentor. If you cannot see, our brain style is limited. As an individual, we are limited. So we need to be able to ask for help and seek. And best is to find a mentor who have walked through this, who know this experience, who has done these mistakes, or who are, eligible to teach us. So find mentors for every domains of your life, for your health, for your finance, for your business, for your relationship, for emotional intelligence. So that way we know we are being guided. Then build a network. It is important to develop that relationship with your peers and experts. You need to be able to work in community because one is self accountability, another one is team accountability. In team synergy, we can exceed our potential. If you have that kind of like minded people, best is to grab them. And that is why, as a third important benefit in my community, we give them the supportive community for women. We have women who are with the like-minded goals, like-minded results. So we share as a community effect. So nobody is being judged. We give them the no judgment zone environment, which is very, very critical for women, because not many of us get help, and not many of us know how to take help or even ask for help. And that is important. A community is important. Adapting to changing circumstances, monitor that environment, stay aware of changes happening in your industry or your personal situation. Without you being aware of it, you're anyway ignorant, you cannot take that risk. Reassess that risk, regularly evaluate if previous calculations are valid or not, and adjust strategies accordingly. Then remain flexible. We have done good amount of you know what do you call episodes on adaptability, flexible mindset, and all that. That will definitely help you gain a lot of other strategies. You see how everything is important, everything is a combination. No one particular skill is a standalone. That is why this 100 skill set, 100 episodes is very, very important for you to connect the dots. And finally, celebrate and learn from your own success. Acknowledge that achievement, analyze that success factor, what held you with the success, so that you can apply the same thing for future, right? It is very important to reflect and share your insights. If you have some, like, social media is always there for us to share, and share the right ones which can inspire others. Then build on momentum. Momentum is a key word here. So one is to reflect, one is to celebrate, another one is to learn, and also keep up the momentum. Because once success is not a destination, right? It's a journey. So you need to keep on going. Then taking action. So what are we going to do? Summarize. Your next calculated risk is going to be identifying the opportunity. Okay, pinpoint that potential risk first in your life or your career or your business. Gather the right kind of information using the brain hacks. Okay, research and analyze the potential incomes, and then weigh. You're going to weigh, make your move, take that action for your calculated risk. How do you take that action? Small steps. Okay. Now, at this point of time, if you have any questions, you know very well that I have a tool called, UQ bundles. So you may have multiple questions at this point of time to understand where are you standing in all these skill set. How well are you equipped? Do you even have the strength in you? That are you even taking that risk? Can you see that with the open-minded? Are you assessing your risk properly? What are the tools that you're using? How are you articulating this to your team members or your family or to your own self? What are the questions that you're asking to yourself? So I have a tool called EQ quiz bundles for this episode, not only for this, for all the 100 episodes, where you can identify your own scores, your own approach using those questions. You answer it, it'll let you know where you are directed at. And once you finish that, you will exactly know where you are. And then from there on, you will also have tips to identify the gap and improve the gap. So one is watching these episodes. That itself give you enough awareness. Another one is this could be a self-awareness questionnaire also. So like this, for all the 100 episodes, you're going to be having this. Okay. It is out there for you to use any number of times for lifetime access. All you have to do is, when I complete this 100 skill set questionnaire, it's going to take a little more time, but I want you to register it. When you register it, it's going to ask you for a cost. I don't want you to pay any cost. Okay. It's going to come to you free of cost if you can share top 3 learnings that you have gained from this episode. So by looking at your comments, I'll be more than happy to lend you a 100% free coupon code. With that, you can access this 100% free of cost. All the 100 quiz bundles belongs to you. Okay. Share it with somebody whom, it's needed as well. So they can also watch this episode and share their comments, and they will also get their 100% coupon code. So apart from this, there is a workshop which I told you. The link is given in the descriptions. Register it whenever it's going to happen. It's going to get notified. Then social media open there for everybody to learn and grow. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. And there's a podcast on Spotify. Please do subscribe on that. Substack as an article format, LinkedIn and Instagram. Please do subscribe and take action now, because it is important. Now that you know these insights, it is important to start overcoming your fear of failure by taking that necessary risk. That smart risk is important for you to know where you stand. Because if you don't take that action, it's going to anyway stagnate and you will remain that way. Because every bold move starts with that calculated decision. Okay, we must have already done this. Okay, we already have many mastery experiences in us. We just have to reflect on those and then take that plunge using that bold move that you took. What are those components helped you? It could be your faith, it could be your intuition, it could be that gut instinct, or it could be the right kind of data that you got. So you need to just apply that formula and be able to embrace that risk with confidence. So that way you can unlock the power of you shaping up your own future. It could be in your business or in your career or in your work. Okay. Imagine big risk, big rewards. And you're going to start small, but only if you take that step, these rewards can be in your lap. I want you to take that step, smart risk every day. If you resonated with this kind of episode, give me that, show me that love and support, and share your comments. That's more important for you to take those rewards and share it with somebody whom you think it's most needed. I'll see you in the next episode. Okay, bye bye.